I've been collecting and creating model trains for about 8 years now, and the most asked for video on my channel is a full model train collection. Well, here it is. To note, this video is strictly just engines. This video would be way too long if it was absolutely everything in my collection. But if y'all want a part 2, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, let's start with standard gauge models. Here is Thomas. He uses a shell created by the LBSC Thomas, or Noah, and was actually the prototype shell. I was impatient and I needed a new Thomas, so I asked Noah if they could just sell me the prototype shell, and they did. Only after I kept on bugging them though. Love you, Noah. This model has been through quite a lot, including sending him to a couple different train shows and getting to have some fun on the massive Northlands layout, thanks to my buddy Matt. I'll go into more detail and make a full video on this guy in the future. Edward. Edward has a bit of a story to him, starting out as a Hornby 2P and painted like crap, to now looking like a proper K2. I can't wait to make a full video on him in the not so distant future. Henry. Henry was made using a stock standard Hornby Black 5. This had the crappy factory weathering that I had to strip everything down before repainting. The model isn't a hard model to paint, it's just there's a lot of intricate parts on it, and that weathering was a pain in the butt to remove too. But in the end, I'm very happy with how he turned out. Gordon. Gordon was made using a Hornby Gladiator with faces from the Chairlord. Gordon has also been to a bunch of train shows, but this didn't come without getting stuck at someone's house for 2 years. Not the most fun being Gordonless, but I got him back in the end thanks to Jack's Trains. Gordon 2? While my other Gordon was gone, I got sad not having him with me, so I decided to make a new Gordon. I bought an old Shapeways shell from Tail Lamp Studios, and I repainted it, but with a twist. I was gonna add smoke. This model will need a whole video dedicated to itself on how I built him.
Here's James!
James was made using a Sparkshot Class 28 shell on a Bachmann E4 chassis. This model, like my rebuilt Gordon, has a smoke unit, and he actually works. This guy also needs a whole video dedicated to himself. Percy. Percy was made using modified Noah shell of his own Percy CAD. The changes include a smaller squat tank, a longer funnel, a sloped coal bunker, bigger buffers, and a smaller cab. This little guy will need a whole video dedicated to the design choices for him. Toby. Toby is a fully scratch-built model from Styrene and running on a modified Tyco chassis. I made this model over 5 years ago. He definitely needs to be replaced by the Rapido J70, but I just haven't found one at a good price yet. Duck. There's honestly not much to say about Duck. He's just a newer Bachmann Pannier. I do want to replace this guy with the newer Acura Scale 5700, but we'll see. Donald. Donald is actually being worked on during the making of this video. I purchased this model for $35. It did need a bit of restoration, but I just couldn't pass on that deal. I just started on his lining and he currently uses a wooden railway face until I can get some proper 3D print ones. I want to make a full restoration progress video on this guy in the future. Douglas. I actually haven't started on Douglas, as you can see. Even though I got a really good deal on this model, it's one of the as-preserved ones, and I would just feel really bad about repainting him. Until I make up my mind on a potential trade, I'll just keep him unpainted. Oliver. This is actually my older model of Oliver. This one was the modern-ish Hornby model that I got for Christmas in 2019. The only thing I've really done to it is gloss coat it and add a face to it. Oliver 2. This will eventually be my new Oliver. It's a DJH model that I got for a really good price. I actually haven't started painting the model, and I don't know if I will. I really want to get the new Dapple one whenever it comes out. Emily. Emily is a modified Bachmann Emily, repainted with a cut-down cab, tender, and added handrail knobs. But unfortunately, this model isn't actually mine anymore. I sold her to my friend Ryan, but I still have her because I have a few things I need to still send to Ryan. Neville. Neville was made using Hornby Q1. I bought the factory weathered version and I went in and weathered a few more areas on the model. I then added a Tomy face with the eyes drilled out and repainted. This is one of my favorite models to have running with a long rake of wagons, and I'm very happy with how he turned out. Derek. Derek was made using a Helgen Class 17. I made him for my Double Teething Troubles remake. which is actually in the description below if you'd like to check that out. I decided since Derek has so much engine trouble that he doesn't get cleaned very much, and I'm very happy with how his weathering turned out. Bear. I actually don't have anything to say about Bear. I won him in an auction, and he came in, and this is how he looks. The only thing I really did to him was add a face to him. Dudley. Dudley is another model made by Helgen. This is one of my first models that I ever weathered with an airbrush. I'm very happy with how he turned out, and one of my favorites. Brad. Brad is one of my favorite OCs. He's just such a fun character, so I decided I was going to make him. He was made using a Bachmann Branchline S100 in a Malshot green. I removed the BR logos and added NWR crest onto his side tanks, thanks to Railway Mania. The only thing he's missing is a face. Hopefully I can get around to commissioning someone for that in the future. The Flying Scotsman. This Scotsman is one of the new Hornby A3s with the steam and sound. This is such a fun model, but sadly my DCC controller broke, so I'm just waiting for a new one to come in. Cock of the North. This was a Christmas gift from my girlfriend. I told her a few models I was interested in, and she went in with this one. Her reasons for picking the P2 is because it was the biggest, and the name was funny. So this is one of my favorite models because she got to pick it out for me. Osprey. I've always loved the A4s in LNER green. I think they just wear that livery so well, and I've always wanted one of the Grizzly collection models in the gloss code. When one of these Ospreys came up for sale on Clark's, I went to go buy it, but it sold right as I was checking it out. Come to find out, Ryan went and bought the same model, but I still wanted one. Thankfully, GBH Train found a listing for one that needed some work, so I paid him to fix it up, then my fixation was fixed. This is definitely another favorite. Bittern. Bittern was my first Hornby model. I got the entire Teton Pullman set at a train show whenever I was younger. This model doesn't run the best, but I still love it just the same. The J67. This is the brand new Acura scale model with DCC sound. This is actually an early Christmas gift from my buddy Matt. And it's just such a nice model. Thank you, bro. Also thought I would mention, I have ordered 4 of the Bagnall models. They have not come in yet. The 2 yellow ones are at my friend Truck's house, and then the other 2 I bought from another person, so they'll be a little bit before they're here. Moving on to American Standard Gauge. Sierra Railway number 3. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Back to the Future movies, and Part 3 is probably my favorite out of the 3 movies, so I naturally wanted to make the locomotive they used in that movie. I might make a full video on this guy in the future. St. Louis Southwest 819. 819 is my favorite American locomotive. I remember going to the Pine Bluff shops in Arkansas whenever I was a kid. I've been to see her so many times, and I've always wanted to make a model of her. As you can see, it's currently unfinished, but she will be soon. Union Pacific Big Boy. After seeing the Big Boy in person, I wanted to get a model for my collection. I found this one at a train show, and it was either between this or the regular black livery. Obviously, I went with the gray version. This model runs so smoothly, and I so want to get it on the layout and run a massive train behind it. Okay, let's move on to narrow gauge. Trying Princess? The first model on the narrow gauge list isn't even narrow gauge? That's because this is going to be used for a narrow gauge project in the future, so stay tuned. O-Scale Scarloey. I've been obsessed with larger scales recently, and I found this O-Scale kit for a really good price on eBay. So I bought it, and I'm actually still working on this model. I hope to have more on this guy in the future. O-Scale Peter Sam. This is another O-Scale model I bought from my friend John, but I haven't had any motivation to really finish it. Scarloey. Scarloey was my first narrow gauge model. I painted him in a bright red at first, but when I finally got the Bachmann Renes, I wanted to paint them in something darker to match the Fletcher Jennings red. I think it's a bit too dark for Indian red, but it's honestly grown on me. Reneus. Reneus is a repaint of the Bachmann Yellow Reneus. He's had a few parts added onto him, but other than that, he's a pretty easy custom. Judge Reneus. Oh wait. Yellow Reneus. This model I bought from Caleb a couple years ago. He's had a couple modifications, such as a new funnel and weathering, and some new faces. I really just bought this model to fill a hole in the void. Sir Handle. This is actually the newest model in my collection, and this has got to be one of Bachmann's best Thomas models. I do want to fully repaint this model and get a new body shell, but that'll just have to wait for a little bit. Another Sir Handle. This model is one big kit bash of a lot of different parts, and it was one of the first models I ever 3D printed. This guy is kind of obsolete now that I have the Bachmann Sir Handle, but hey, it's still fun. Falcon. Falcon is currently incomplete, but he currently uses a Team Immersion No. 3 shell on a Bachmann Percy chassis. Hopefully I can get this guy finished after the new year. Peter Sam. Peter Sam uses the Bachmann Peter Sam chassis with the 4Ds shell. I do eventually want to get the newer 4D shell, but I have to finish some filming before I make that change. Rusty. Rusty uses a body shell from Shapeways. I painted him in a dark gray livery to give him a bit of contrast rather than just the black paint scheme. I'm very happy with how he turned out. Duncan. Duncan uses the latest Westcliff Work shell on top of a modified Bachmann Percy chassis. The faces are by Rexecution and printed by Thomas Tank Merch. This is one of my favorite narrow gauge models I've ever made. Ivo Hugh. Ivo is another shell from Shapeways, and he also uses a modified Bachmann Percy chassis. His faces are by Dalton and adapted from trains. He did unfortunately fall off a set and broke his buffers, but I do have a replacement set of buffers that I'll just have to get painted up. Duke. Duke was made using a Kato/Pico Prince model. My model, like Falcon, is incomplete. He really just needs his lining and decals, but again, I hope I can get done with him by the end of the year. Fred. Fred is also an unfinished model. I just haven't had a reason to finish him, but hopefully I can pretty soon. Now, let's move on to the miniature railway. Rex. Rex was made using an Oki shell on the newest Mark 1 Z-Scale chassis. The reason I picked the newest Mark 1 chassis is because they have such a nice can motor and full Walschaerts valve gear. The faces for all my Arsdale engines are special commissions by NWR Chris, and I love the way he captured their personalities. Mike. Mike also uses the Oki shell and a modern Mark 1 chassis. Faces again are by NWR Chris, and I think these are my favorite ones out of the bunch. Bert. Bert is the only different one. He still uses the Oki shell, but he does use one of the older Mark 1 chassis without the full valve gear. I do have a whole video dedicated on how I made these guys, and I can't wait to show it to y'all. Well, that's my entire collection as of 2025. The collection will definitely grow, I'm for sure, so I'll definitely have to make an update video in 2026. And please let me know which model you'd like me to review down in the comments below. I also want to thank everyone for 4,000 subscribers on this platform. It genuinely makes me so happy. I have a few massive projects in the works, so subscribe so you won't miss any updates on those future videos. And thank you all so much again. It really means a lot.